So you're telling me that athletes have gotten better, medical practices and recovery is better, technology is better, the practice time and strain on body is less, and there's more injuries now than ever before? Sounds about right. Week 11 in the NFL started off Thursday Night Football. Washington Commanders go into Philadelphia. They lose 26-18. I think the final score makes it a little bit closer than it actually was. It was a close game up until half, and then Saquon Barkley does what he does, and he's incredible. I still can't believe the Giants let him go. I don't think the Giants owner, John Mara, can believe that they let him go. He's punching his general manager as we speak, I imagine. But look, Philadelphia 6-0 since Nick Sirianni got his buzz cut, and I'm gonna tell y'all right now, man. Everything that's been said about that guy, as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, is so unwarranted. It's unbelievable. This guy has been able to win, despite people questioning his competent ability to coach. How absurd is that? How absurd is it that people are actually questioning his knowledge of football after he's won? We don't even do that to people that have constantly lost. We don't even question them the same amount that we have continuously tried to question Nick Sirianni's football knowledge. I'm speaking to you, Dan Orlovsky, and all these dudes on ESPN. Like, what are we talking about? We're questioning this guy's football IQ because we're unsure about some of the moves he's made. Like, come on, man. Come on. The last person we did this to was Brandon Staley. And you know what? That was more warranted because he didn't win. But Nick Sirianni has continuously won, and we're still questioning it. Look, yes, I will be very honest about this. When we came into this year, right? Well, I said this on the last episode. Like, the expectations of the Philadelphia Eagles is that they're supposed to win. They're supposed to win at least the NFC, let alone a Super. Like, they're 2 years removed from being in the Super Bowl and almost winning it against Kansas City. And now, because they lost, a couple of their coordinators, Shane Steichen goes to Indianapolis, Jonathan Gannon goes to Arizona. Now we're going to, after the debacle that they had last year, we're just going to write them off. Like, nah, man, that team's good enough. So I'm not going to sit up here and act like it's a surprise that they're 8-2, that they've won 6 in a row. Let's not do that. Let's not do that, because I feel like that's not fair to them. Look, you play against your expectations, and the expectation for Philadelphia is supposed to win. On the flip side, I think the Washington Commanders, that you can tell me that's a surprise, because we didn't know what that was going to be like. We didn't know what the culture was going to be like with Dan Quinn going in there, right? We didn't know how that defense was going to be built. We didn't know how Jaden was going to play. And I'm going to tell y'all, man, even though that they lost this game, there were some things that Jane Daniels did yesterday that were really good. I will say there's this one play that I know everybody's talked about ad nauseum. I still will touch on it briefly. 10-12, 30-some yard line, right? 4th and 2, take the 3. Go up 1, 13-12. Going for it there, the flow of the game didn't make sense. And I know what people are thinking. I'll be fair. I haven't really heard what a lot of people said about it. I have heard some things, but I will say this about that. Look, the flow of the game kind of indicated that you kicked the 3 there. And if people are saying that, the drive was humming and you keep that momentum going, on that 3rd down, you get stopped though. On the 2nd and 3rd down, you needed 1 yard, you didn't get it. So it's just like, at that point, I think you take the 3 instead of trying to keep that drive going. I also think, we're only talking about it because, A, it got stopped, but second, because I think the play call was correct. I just feel like the botched quarterback center exchange made it so, Jane Daniels had to kind of go AWOL and be creative with whatever happens. Now, look, it is what it is. I think the Commanders will be all right. They've been competitive in almost every game. I'm not saying that this was as competitive as what the score indicated or any of that, but look, they've been a competitive team. They're pretty good. Their defense, though, when you go up against like good teams, yeah, that defense it's just not good enough yet. They need pieces. I think going forward, obviously, now that you have a quarterback, you have to build around Jaden, and they will. We'll see what how they can continue to build this culture. I'm happy for Cliff Kingsbury, man, because I remember what was said about him on his way out in Arizona, and that was rough. So for him to come back to the NFL and prove people right. And to me, this is the other thing, right? Not every good coordinator can be a good head coach. Again, I don't want to sit up here and be Captain Obvious all the time, and I hope that I'm not trying to be, but I don't think that that's a surprise. Not every good coordinator should be a head coach, right? Bobby Slowick. Last year, we loved him. We loved Bobby Slowick, right? They're talking about he turned down places that wanted him as head coach to stay in Houston and build something and then maybe try after this year. Right? Now people don't like him. Now people are off that bandwagon. They're like, yo, get Bobby Slowick out of here. Imagine that. That's how quickly it changes in the NFL or in sports in general, actually. Sometimes it's week to week, sometimes it's year to year. We loved him last year. We hate him this year. Right? Ben Johnson. Same thing. He's amazing, and I think a lot of people love him. Can he be a great head coach? We've never seen it. So to me, it's like sometimes I think because you're making similar amount of money as a head coach now as a coordinator, it's just not worth. It's not worth the extra amount that you have to put up with now. Yes, I understand it's an aspiration. It's goals and things that you want to get. You want to have the key to the organization. It's just like, to me, not everybody's built for that. And I feel like a lot of these people are great offensive minds. They need to stay that way and stay in that element. Because the other thing that changes is that when you become head coach, it's like, are you still the play caller? Because that's oftentimes too much. It's oftentimes too much to be a play caller and be the head coach. Some people are able to balance it better than others. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, I love Ben Johnson, and I think he's done an incredible job in Detroit with that offense. I just don't know if, he needs, because I think what you're building in Detroit is good enough for you to continue to stay there and build, because not every head coaching job, I understand there's 32 of them in the world, is a good job. So, is it worth? Is it not? I don't know. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Now, look, let's make our picks for this weekend in the NFL. Starting off with Green Bay at Chicago, rivalry game, divisional game. The Green Bay Packers are 5.5-point favorites on the road. 5.5 points. I mean, that's an interesting line. I will say that tells you all you need to know about what the books feel about Chicago. And the Chicago Bears, they new offensive coordinator this week with Caleb. Now, there was a report that suggested, I think it came out on ESPN a couple days ago or maybe last night, that says that Caleb was, they were he's unable to grasp the offense in general. Okay, so he can't control the line of scrimmage, and so many of those things are happening. So it's like, yeah, give me the Green Bay Packers. Like, that is, wow, I feel for Bears fans, man. That is a tough situation to be in, because they feel, the writing might already be on the wall. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it could be. Let's move on. Jacksonville at Detroit. The Detroit Lions are getting 14 points. So the Lions are favored by 2 touchdowns. No Trevor Lawrence for Jacksonville, but 2 touchdowns. No Sam Laporta, by the way, for Detroit. I wonder when the last time it was that the Detroit Lions were favored by 2 touchdowns against any team. This is a tough one. 2 touchdowns feels like a lot of points. That feels like too many points, even at home. I'm gonna go with Jacksonville to cover, but I think Detroit's gonna win. But I think Mac Jones can keep them within 2 scores, like 14 points. That's a lot against a team that has struggled. But like, come on, the Jacksonville is not like the worst team in the NFL, and I just feel like that's a lot of points to be getting. That being said, though, Jared Goff coming off of a 5-pick game, like this could be a game where they just go berserk, or they don't ask him to throw the ball that much. This could be one of those games. We'll see what happens there. Minnesota at Tennessee. Minnesota's favored by 6.5 points in Tennessee. Tennessee defense kind of scares me because they're pretty good. Minnesota, obviously a lot. I'm still on the Sam Darnold bandwagon, but a lot of people in Minnesota have started to kind of come off of that wagon because of the recent turnovers. That being said, he's still won. You know what I mean? Like, let's not be one of these teams that thinks that you're good enough that you can just complain when you win, right? Like, the Minnesota Vikings are, you're not that team yet. So I think that if he's winning, let's temper our expectations. I like Minnesota to cover as well. I think that the Tennessee Titans are a dumpster fire organization right now. They're in a tough situation. I don't know where it goes from here, but again, we like that defense. We think that defense is pretty good. It definitely can get pressure, especially with no Christian Darrisaw. Yes, they did get Cam Johnson from Jacksonville on that left tackle position, but we don't know exactly how that's going to play out. I know they struggled against Jacksonville to keep Sam Darnold kind of clean. Darnold didn't make great throws as well, but I like the Minnesota Vikings to come out and be aggressive and play well this weekend in Nashville. Let's move on. Las Vegas at Miami. Miami is favored by a touchdown, 7 points. Like, that's a lot. That is a lot of points to be getting. Now, I will say Vegas is traveling from, obviously the West Coast all the way down. Like, Miami's way down there. I don't know if y'all have ever seen a map, but Miami's way down there, and I feel like that has to play a factor in it, the travel and all that. And obviously the books like Miami after what they saw on Monday Night Football against the Rams. But I think I'm going to go Vegas to cover. Obviously, I'm a little biased as a Vegas fan, but I'm going to go Las Vegas Raiders to cover. I don't know if we're going to win that game. Okay. It's been a tough year. I don't want to get into it. I feel like I've ranted enough about the Raiders, but I don't want to get into it. It's just, what a tough year. I don't know what we expected, but I expected a little bit more, I don't know, competent ability. I thought we could have been a 7-9 win team. I didn't think that we were a playoff team. I didn't think any of that. Obviously, I understood with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew that, we're not going to win against good teams. I just felt like our defense could have carried us, and then Wilkins gets hurt. And then we just haven't played well. I feel like play calling hasn't been good. The culture hasn't been good. Devontae Adams situation happens. It's a whole lot. It is, let's just get Shadur. Okay, let's just get Shadur Sanders, and we'll kind of go from there. Okay, let's move on. And the Rams at New England. The Rams are favored by 4.5. I guess. But I'm going to go New England. I'm going to go New England to win and to cover. I kind of like the 43.5 is the line. I kind of like the under in this game. I think Matt Stafford is good. We like Matt Stafford, but what New England is starting to kind of build here is what I really like. And Drake May, he's a guy. He is a guy. If he can just take care of the football and let their defense kind of get after Matt Stafford, I think that this is going to be a New England team that kind of finishes the year off pretty good. Like this could be a 5 to 8 win team at this close to the end of the year. So I'm going to go with New England. I think the Rams, they got a lot to figure out. The Browns at New Orleans. This is a pick'em game. The Browns are 1-point favorites in New Orleans. Jameis Winston coming back to New Orleans. Obviously, the Saints coming off of a big win against Atlanta in their division with the new interim head coach, Rizzi. This might be one of those games where Jameis Winston goes back to being Jameis Winston. But I like the New Orleans Saints to win. I also like the over in this one as well. At 44.5, I like New Orleans to win. I know that there are some injuries on the offensive side of the ball for New Orleans with Chris Olave being out as well. I just think that, you've gotten a little boost with the culture change. I didn't think Dennis Allen was going to last in the offseason. I'm surprised that they brought him back anyways. But I think Derek Carr is, starting to figure it out. And I think, this is a game that they need to get. Colts at New York. This is so Indianapolis at New York. The New York Jets are 4-point favorites at home. I don't know. That seems like an insane line to me. I don't know. The books know something that we don't. Anthony Richardson back in the starting lineup as their quarterback, which again, kind of already went into this. Don't want to get into it again. Interesting situation happening in Indianapolis, but man, the New York Jets, though. Well, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Colts. I think the Colts win. I think they cover as well. Okay, let's move on. I think this is supposed to be the game of the week. I'm surprised that they didn't flex this, but Baltimore at Pittsburgh, obviously a rivalry game with it being a division game at Pittsburgh. Baltimore is a 3-point favorite. It's pretty much a pick'em game. I don't know. I don't know where to go on this one because I think that Pittsburgh, as great as they are, right? Like I said in the last episode, they have to play pretty much perfect to win by 1 against the Commanders, and the Baltimore defense is not good at all. But could they, now even without Kyle Hamilton, we'll see what the status on him is and how long he might have to miss. I just don't know if they can recover from that on their defense. I still think that Baltimore offense is good enough. But, they got TJ Watt. If there's one person you can't let ruin the game, it's TJ Watt. And I think that, Pittsburgh plays Baltimore. Mike Tomlin's defense plays Lamar Jackson pretty well. I'm going to go Pittsburgh Steelers here. And the Pittsburgh Steelers get a big win against the Baltimore Ravens at home. And they keep it moving. Let's move on to Atlanta at Denver. Denver's favored by 2. Wow. Denver's favored by 2 points here. That's an interesting line. I didn't know the public and the sports books liked Denver as much as this is showing, especially against an Atlanta team that has shown flashes of being really good. I'm also going to stick with the public. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. I just think that defense is going to give problems to Atlanta, and I also think because it being in Mile High, Atlanta's going to struggle with the altitude as well. Seattle at San Francisco. In Santa Clara, San Francisco's getting 6.5 points at home. Look, y'all know how I feel about the Seattle Seahawks, man. They have been in a horrendous situation. And it does not get any better. Yes, they do get DK and Metcalf back, but I'll tell y'all something, man. The Seattle Seahawks just announced that their center has retired. Their starting center. Right? Let's pull up his name, actually. Their starting... This is how bad it is. It's how bad it is that their starting center has just decided to retire. And y'all telling me that this is... At 27 years old, Connor Williams has decided to retire. He's played every game for the Seattle Seahawks. And after week 10, he's just like, nah, bro, I can't do this. And he's decided to retire. And I can't blame him if I was playing there right now either. I can't blame him. Because they're in a tough situation. I don't know how it gets better. Because you're not a bad team. But you're one of those teams that's on the fringe. So I don't know how it gets better. But I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, McCaffrey's back. That team, obviously, the sports books like them. The public likes them to win the NFC, not just the NFC West. It's the Eagles. It's the Lions. It's the Niners. So we haven't lost faith in the Niners yet. I don't think that Niners fans have either. They've showed a lot of good things. I think Kyle's still Kyle Shanahan. So, they usually play Seattle pretty well anyways. I think this is a close game. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't hesitate because, 6.5 is still a lot. Seattle could cover that. I don't think that they are in a position to, so I'm going to stick with the San Francisco 49ers. Let's move on. Kansas City at Buffalo. Buffalo is favored by 2, which makes absolutely no sense. If you tell me that Pat Mahomes is an underdog, I'm going to take him 100% of the time. There's not enough motivation you can, continue to fuel this team with. So I am going to continue to take the Kansas City Chiefs until they show us that they are beatable. I don't think that they will be. Obviously, Buffalo's a good team. They usually play them really well in the regular season and then don't play them well in the playoffs. But I like the Chiefs to win this game and cover. Now, let's move on to Sunday Night Football. Cincinnati Bengals at the Chargers. Now, this is a really interesting game because it's a big game for both teams, right? The Bengals aren't out of it yet, but if they lose, they probably are, right? But they get T. Higgins back. And if you notice, their offense has been humming. It's just that defense hasn't been good, right? The Chargers on the other side, they haven't even asked Justin Herbert to be Herbie, right? They haven't even asked him to throw the ball that much because they're, Jim Harbaugh has completely changed the culture of that franchise, right? They're going to run the ball, and they're going to rely on their defense to play well enough. And when Herbie needs to be Herbie, then, we'll ask him to make that throw. But we don't need him to be Superman. We don't need him to be, throwing the football 50 times a game and win by 2 points. Or, the Chargers of old are going to lose this game in a heartbreaking fashion. I don't know if that happens again, but I like the Bengals here. And I will say that they have struggled in their defense, but I think Joe has played really well. Obviously, Jamar's played really well. I think T. Higgins coming back is a big deal. I do. I think that they needed a second punch. And I think it's going to be a tough game. This is a pretty good Sunday Night Football game. I'm happy it got flexed. It's a big game, I think, for both teams. And I also think if you're the Chargers, this is a game that your fans have been waiting for you to win. It's a big game. It's against a good team, good quarterback on the other side. This is why you brought in Jim Harbaugh, to win these types of games, and I think that they get it done. But I for me, right? Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know. No, I think the Chargers I'm going with the Chargers. I'm going with the Chargers. Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers. I'm not changing that anymore. even though I love, Joe Burrow and Jamar, the Bayou Bengals, but I think the Chargers are going to win this game because they need to, honestly. For us to change our opinion on who they're going to be going forward, I think that they need to win this game. And if you're the Bengals, right, like, again, you're not mathematically eliminated, but if you lose this game, I think you're one step closer to that, if not already there. So, yeah, we'll kind of go from there. Those are our picks for Sunday coming in the NFL. Another thing happening this weekend that, we need to touch on is John Jones and Stipe Miocic. Now, this is a big fight. I don't understand why John is as favored as he is, okay? Because unless Stipe Miocic lost an arm or something, I don't understand how you could be this big of a favorite. Regardless of that, right? If this is John's last fight in the UFC, win or lose, I think a lot of people are going to be really pissed. And I don't know what it is, but I think that the perception of John has changed. We love John. We want John to do well, this, that, and the other. But now it's like, nah, man, John, we want you to fight we want you to fight Tom, and that's it. We don't really even want to see you fight Stipe, but if you're going to, let's beat him, come back, fight Tom. Because that's the guy that we think is, now somehow better than you, or somebody that can beat you now. So we want to see John fight Tom as well. Now, we'll say for this UFC 309, 2 big fights, 3 actually. Well, no, I'm going to go with 2. Charlie Olives and Michael Chandler is the co-main. Now, this is an interesting fight, right? Now, let's say one or the other. Let's say Michael Chandler wins this fight. Is this a number 1 contenders fight? Is he now in line to fight Islam? Because I'll be honest, I don't really want to see that. I know what's going to happen. I feel like Islam's going to beat him up. So I don't really want to see that. And I feel like we've already seen Charlie Olives against, an Islam. And I don't really want to see that either. So is this a number 1 contenders fight? And if you are the UFC, like, when is it going to be time for the lightweight division to, finally stop recycling these top 5 guys? Because we've already seen all of this, man. How many times are these guys going to get an opportunity? And to me, like with Michael Chandler, yes, everybody can tell me about this, stylistic, this, that. But, we haven't even seen him fight yet. And we haven't seen him fight in a long time. So you're telling me that he's going to have the same burst as he has had in the past after, not fighting for a year? Like, I don't know. To me, that, I'll be surprised. I think if Michael Chandler does win, I think Charlie Olives should win. So that's my pick for UFC 309. I think Charlie Olives definitely should win. I just don't understand why we keep going in this like fighting at the lightweight, division in like this should not be number 1 contenders fight. I don't know if it is or it isn't. So I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying like I don't know if we want to, as fight fans, want to see Islam fight any of these 2 guys. I'm not even saying that Islam's going to be the champion when it does happen, but let's just say he is, for argument's sake. Like, is that a fight that we want to see? Like, I think Islam is better than both of these guys by a lot, actually. I don't think that stylistic, unless they show us something that, unless on Saturday, both of these guys show us something that we're like, oh my God, we forgot that, remind us who they are, and we forgot that this is who you are, then yes, we can definitely get excited about one of them fighting Islam. I just don't know if that's the case. And let's say it's a barn burner. Let's say Charlie Olives and Michael Chandler is a barn burner fight. Is this still a number 1 contenders fight? Is this still a fight that we want to see one of these guys fight against Islam? Like, to me, that just is not, as fight fans, what we want to see. Like, if this is a barn burner, this cannot be a number one contenders fight. If this is a fight that, goes it goes back and forth and there's a crazy action and we see something from both fighters that is some that they're reminding us that they still had, then yeah, fair. Again, I'm not sure if Michael Chandler still has that. He's been laid off for a while. Obviously, he was preparing for Conor. That doesn't happen. Now he's fighting Charlie Olives. We'll see how that goes. Bo Nickel and Paul Craig, middleweight fight. Bo Nickel, right, is 6-0. He's only had 6 fights. How is he on the main card? Somebody explain that to me, man. Yeah, I understand that we want to see something from him. But then you keep giving him scrubs to fight. So it's like, we're going to put him on the main card, but ask him to fight a scrub, and then we're going to get happy when he wins? Like, what? This seems exactly like what they did with Sugar Sean O'Malley. He had no business being in the main card as early as he was. And this is the same thing that they're doing with Bo Nickel. Yeah, we get Bo Nickel is, stylistically he's very good, this, that, and the other middleweight he could. But then make him fight somebody that, on the main card that we actually think is comparable. And I'm not saying, no disrespect to Paul Craig. By no means I'm my disrespect. I just think that stylistically, Bo Nickel goes into some of these fights and within the first round it's over because he just mauls a guy, and then now we have to sit there and watch people praise him and the UFC praise him and this, that, and the other, and I'm looking at it like, yo, man, he's not really fought anybody that we think is good. Especially not somebody in the top 10, but we keep putting him on. We're putting him on the main card. Like, he should be the prelim fight card, man. He needs to be in that so we can see him again. But like, if you're gonna put him in this, it's like, make him fight somebody actually good. And, I'm just saying, like, he's had 6 fights. Like, yes, we think he's going to be good, but then, like, put him against somebody that, is actual competition and not, like, I feel like this, these are too easy of fights that he's been getting. And then we're going to crown him too early. We're going to ask him to be a number one contenders fight. And then when he gets mauled, and then when he gets fraud checked, we're going to be like, oh, we didn't expect that. It's like, come on, man. Give me a break. Right? Because that's exactly what they did with Sean O'Malley. It's exactly what they did. When he got fraud checked, right? When he got fraud checked with that pace and that wrestling ability, when he got fraud checked, it was, Muneeb, it was over. And I'll be honest, man, going into that fight, I'm no fight expert. I'm not, at no point am I claiming that, right? But I got eyes. We can do the eye test, right? I see what I'm watching. And we knew exactly what a fight with Muneeb was going to be like. And that's exactly how it happened. So to me, it's like, why are we building these people up like this? And then is it because, the UFC wants to build up American fighters and then see them fight? And when they get fraud checked, it's like, oh, no, that's a surprise. It's like, come on, man. Give me a break, dog. And again, I'm not saying that Bo Nickel isn't good. We want him to be good. But it's like, what if he's not? Then what? What if he gets fraud checked when he fights somebody in the top 5 in the middleweight? Right? So, to me, like, it's just, it's just ridiculous. I think that he should be in the prelim card. I don't know if he's a main event fighter yet, especially if you're not going to give him somebody comparable. He's only had 6 fights, but when he gets fraud checked, don't act surprised then. That's all I'm saying. Don't be surprised if Bo Nickel gets fraud checked. It probably won't happen this weekend, but when he fights somebody in the top 5 at middleweight, it probably will. I also think it's like, if you're going to build a guy up, then build him up and let him fight somebody that's good, because that's what he wants too. So I'm not saying that we're not in agreement on that either. It's just like, you can't be a main card fighter fighting, with 6 fights, and then you're fighting somebody that isn't that good. That's all I'm saying. This should be a good card. I'm looking forward to it. Now, with Jon Jones and Stipe, I'm going to go, obviously I'm leaning towards Jon Jones. I think that he's way too heavy of a favorite, though, which makes no sense because Stipe Miocic he's pretty fucking good. But Jon Jones, we'll see how he looks in that fight. Obviously, the last time we saw him against Cyril Gane, it was too quick. Obviously, it was a dominance, but it was too quick. Now, we also know what Cyril Gane is, and that dude is the biggest fraud I think that the UFC has had in a long time. So it's not, it's not hard to kind of go through that. But Jon looks so dominant, so I feel like we have to wipe that away. And we haven't really seen Jon fight in a long, long time. Neither have we seen, obviously, Stipe fight in a while either. But so we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm leaning towards Jon winning, but I also don't want this to be his last fight because as a fight fan, and I'm going to speak on behalf of all fight fans, we do want to see Jon fight against Tom. Tom Aspinall is somebody that we kind of want to see the stylistic matchup against those two. And I think that he needs to fight at least one more. But if he doesn't, all the power to him. Obviously, he's achieved so much in the UFC, and nobody's, I think, going to be angry if he doesn't. It's just like we would be disappointed, right? We would just be a little bit disappointed. So that's that. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Obviously, the NFL, some fights going on as well. But yeah, let me, please help our channel grow. Like and subscribe. And we'll keep this thing rolling. Game on with Muneeb Khan. Thank you.